Since the release of Pokémon Legends Z-A, I've been on a non-stop grind to get the Shiny Charm. So in order to complete this monumental task, I have to finish every research mission Mabel has forced upon me alongside some other insane side quests. One part of the challenge I'm most familiar with is capturing every Pokémon and completing every Pokédex entry in the game. This means every starter, legendary, secret hidden Pokémon, and even some trade evolutions. With that being said, however, this is my experience attaining the Shiny Charm in Legends Z-A. This journey began on October 16th, 2025, the release date of Legends Z-A. After taking a train ride into the luxurious Lumio City, I was immediately robbed. After chasing down the bandit of my personal belongings, I came head to head with a couple of trainers who apparently train their Pokemon to rob people. And upon arriving and asking for my stuff back, they challenged me to a Pokemon battle. These guys are just like the worst human beings imaginable. But at least at this point, I get to choose my starter Pokemon, which I aptly picked Chikorita. After taking out these delinquent trainers, I was immediately thrust into the new gimmick of this game, the Z-A Royale, where even though I hadn't signed up for it yet, the trainers in the zone took the chance to curb stomp me as much as they possibly could before I fought my way to my hotel accommodations. After a good night's sleep of being beat up by a bunch of different trainers and having my things stolen, I went downstairs to meet with Tawny, who decided she was going to take me to the Wild Zone 1 and teach me how to catch Pokemon properly. But this new system is a little bit tricky. So with the catching tutorial teaching me how to catch a Fetchling, Bunnelby, and Scatterbug, the other 4 Pokemon in this wild area were relatively easy to catch as well. And upon catching everything in Wild Zone 1, I made my way to the Pokemon Research Lab, where I finally met with Mabel and she gave me all of her research tasks. Turns out the Wild Zone I was just in was one of 20, so I guess we're gonna be here for a while, so we might as well get right to it. After progressing a little bit more through the story and beating a taxi cab driver for some reason, we met Emma. I like Emma. As Emma runs off into the distance like the majestic creature she is, she asks us to come by the Looker's Bureau in the morning to help with some side quests around the city. Now the reason I bring up Emma in these side quests is because they lock down the first 6 wild zones if you don't complete them, which means we have to complete them. And during this pit stop, I took some time to customize my character, get my Pokemon leveled up a bit, and go out and do some actual catches in the areas where I could catch Pokemon. And by the time I was ready to progress further through the story, I already caught quite a bit of Pokemon from the different areas available, and was just getting that much closer to beating Mabel's research. Or so I thought. You see, to complete all of Mabel's research in this game and get the Shiny Charm, you don't just complete the Pokédex. You do a variety of other different tasks, including but not limited to breaking Mega Shards, catching different types of Pokemon, and of course, the dreaded 1,000 battles. And during my playthrough of the game, I was contributing to all these points. So by the time I had finally completed the story, I had made a lot of passive progress in all of these different categories. Now during my main playthrough of the story, every time a new wild zone opened up, I made it my mission to catch every single Pokemon and every single wild zone as they became available to me. So that meant I had to play through more of the story until more of these zones unlocked. For example, when Zygarde showed up and started leading me towards a rogue Mega Evolution battle, I followed him quickly, jumped up on the building, and then started playing Dark Souls for some reason. And after beating Mega Absol on top of that rooftop and gaining the ability to Mega Evolve my Pokemon, Area 7, 8, 9, and 10 opened up for me. So I immediately took the time to go and catch every Pokemon from these wild zones and complete the surveys for each of these areas for Mabel's research. The people running the city were so impressed with my ability to catch Pokemon that they had a promotional battle set up between me and Vinny. And after defeating him quickly, I went all the way up to rank F, which really feels like I skipped a few letters there, but I'm not complaining. But that's when we got a call to action. Rogue Mega Evolution Pokemon were popping up all over the place, and it was up to me and the gang to take them down. So after beating up Mega Slowbro, Camerupt, and Victory Bell, I had to go find an e-girl streamer. And as I brought up Kanari's name, Naveen started donating tier 3 subs. And after going through some very specific quiz questions, and then hunting down the warehouse that Kanari lived in, I finally got to battle her, take her down, move up in the ranks, and unlock 3 new wild zones in Area 11, 12, and 13. After collecting every Pokemon from these zones, I moved on with the story, where me and the other members of Team MZ were tasked with taking down 3 more Mega Evolution Pokemon, Banette, Hawlucha, and Beedrill. One thing I noticed about these Mega battles is a lot of damage can be done from super effective moves specifically from your own Mega Evolution Pokemon. So after getting a Mega Gardevoir and Mega Charizard, these battles became pretty simple. But after taking down these giants, I went to move up the ladder of the Z-A Royale. So I made my way to Ivor, who I wanted to fight, but wouldn't fight me because his sister disappeared. So after doing some investigative work with Emma, we found our way into the sewers where we hunted her down, but it turns out she was just chilling down there with the ghost type Pokemon. But hey, look, a Litwick! You're coming home with me, small candle. And from finally beating Gwen in the depths of the sewers, Emma and Ivor gave me a good pat on the back before he challenged me to a promotional battle. After beating him and his Mega Flinks, it was time to continue more of the story. But that's when I found out one of the party members of Team MZ is an idiot. You see, Tawny went to this really sketchy organization and asked for a loan to help make promotional videos for the hotel, and it ended up costing her $1 million Pokédollars after interest. Now me, I could just do the Z-A Royale over and over again to get that money, but the story said So we turned to indentured servitude. Turns out I had to do some oddball tasks around the entirety of Lumio City if I was going to pay off this $1 million Pokédollar debt. So after clearing out a mansion of some ghost type Pokemon and cleaning up the sewers, I was finally starting to come up into the good graces of the Rust Syndicate. But that is when some more rogue Mega Pokemon decided to rear their heads. A rogue Mega Mawile, Binacle, and Ampharos started causing havoc through the city of Lumios. So it was up to us to take them down. And after I did, for some reason, the leader of the Rust Syndicate wanted to fight me. I, of course, never backed down from a battle, especially a promotional one. And after beating Corbeau and his Mega Scolipede, we were able to move up to rank C, which in turn unlocked areas 16 and 17 to hunt some more Pokemon for this challenge. Now, after growing a bit into the ranks of the Z-A Royale and getting a little bit more renowned to the Team MZ name, we were approached by someone about a giant tournament. Now me, I'm like Goku. If I see a fight, I'm like, bang, let's do it. I want to beat that guy up. It's going to be awesome. But this seemed more like a high society party than it was going to be a massive tournament. Everyone was telling me I needed to get some more fancier clothes, so I decided to run down to the fanciest place in Lumios just for them to dress me up like I was going to prom. But as we arrived to take on this tournament, we got a very important call for some more Mega Evolutions, baby! Who needs a tournament where we can stop rampaging Pokemon? A Mega Venusaur, Altaria, and Frostlass were also wreaking havoc through the city, so who better than a bunch of teenagers to go beat up these wild, rampaging Pokemon? Why did I say that weird? But every time we beat one of these Mega Pokemon, a holographic version of the tournament leader, Jacinth, would show up and chastise us, consistently wanting us to come back to the tournament and partake in it. During this entire point, I was laughing my butt off because there she is. Oh, she's back. Oh, she wants to hang out with us. But we just kept trying to avoid her because for some reason we're angsty and teenagers who run an entire hotel. It's a lot of stress on a young man. But eventually we were cornered in the courtyard by the maid, Labine. I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong. But she activates the Jacinth Zone and challenges us to a battle, trying to force us to come back to the tournament that we were already on our way back to. So after beating her butt and sending her packing, we arrived back at the tournament stage to take everybody down. And as I blow through the people I already beaten in battle throughout the earlier events of the story, I got to fight her. Now Jacinth had a very interesting team with her fairy type Pokemon. Her ace was a Mega Clefairy, but due to the fact that I had pretty much over-leveled for this fight, I was able to take her down with relative ease. Now I do have to say Jacinth is one of my favorite Pokemon characters of all time, just with her attitude, her ability to nag you, and just the cutesy outfit they put her in. But I was definitely happy to get this tournament out of the way, because it opened up brand new wild zones for us to hunt in, to continue the challenge! Hurrah! By completing the tournament, 2 new wild zones opened up in area 18 and 19. And if you remember at the start, I said there's 20 wild zones in total. So that means 1 more wild zone, and we have all the wild zone surveys done. So this ought to be easy, right? Oh, hang on, Vinny's calling. Yeah? 3 new Mega Evolutions. Oh, yeah, let's go take care of them. So the next 3 rogue Mega Evolution Pokemon we have to take down is Dragonite, Tyranitar, and my personal, most terrifying experience, Starmie. Because not only was this guy scary because of design, but when he's battling you, he's charging up the Mega Blast! No! Kill him! Please! Yeah, he just runs at you like a terrifying monster from a Resident Evil game. But after all of that battling, we get our next promotional rank battle. Turns out we gotta figure out who it is. This guy is secretive and nobody really knows where he comes from. After some digging with Emma and finding out a few things by doing some more side missions, turns out it was the coffee guy who had been getting coffee from this entire time and is an ex-Team Flare member? he sends us to the Lysander Cafe, where we go in and activate a dastardly machine that is posed to destroy the entire world. Ah, cool, Beldum spawns here. But this sets into motion some cataclysmic events. Turns out Lumio's tower is an ancient weapon made to destroy all life on Earth. Yeah, I didn't figure that to be the case when I played X and Y and saw the gym being in Lumio's tower, but I guess it makes sense when the entire tower is kind of run by AZ, the guy who built a weapon to destroy everyone because he lost the Pokemon that he now has alive again. It's a very weird and convoluted story, but I digress. Floette gets Mega Evolved inside the Lumio's tower, which is also called Agnes, something along the lines of that, and turns into this giant plant monster. So we take the stone given to us by Zygarde, evolve him into Mega Zygarde, and start fighting two plants that aptly look like the box art for X and Y. I might be stretching here, but the blue and the red kind of screams Yveltal and Xerneas. But with the assistance of Zygarde, we were able to take down the tower with a final Kamehameha blast to the sky. But with the game completed, we had access to Wild Zone 20, which is the last zone we needed to capture every Pokemon. But that's not to say we're completely done with getting the Shiny Charm. By the end of the story, I had a majority of the Pokédex complete, aside from a few different options. First, I didn't have any of the trait evolutions. Second, I didn't have any of the legendaries I needed to catch. And third, I had a lot of underleveled and unevolved Pokemon that needed to come through to complete the dex in its entirety. So I thought to myself, 2 birds, 1 stone. I took a lot of my low-level Pokemon to the Z-A Royale and started grinding. And after about 3 hours of grinding, I was able to evolve all the Pokemon I needed for the Pokédex. Except for a very specific set of dogs that I was refraining from capturing. You see, Eevee and all of its evolutions are in this game, which means if I wanted to complete the Pokédex, I would have to evolve all of them. Now you might be saying, oh, that's easy. Just do some stones, some friendship, teach this one a fairy move, but it's not easy. You see, Eevee's a rare spawn from a very specific area where a bunch of other normal Pokemon spawn. When you walk into that wild zone, none of them leave you alone. So I found myself running into this wild zone, searching for a small dog, getting jumped by a ton of Kangaskhan and Furfrou, not finding it, and then going back and sitting on a bench. I spent a lot of time on that bench. I thought about a lot of things. Did I really need to get this shiny charm? No, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And once I had done the grind of catching all 8 of these Eevees, I was able to sit down and have a nice relaxing restaurant dinner with 3 of them. Yes, Umbreon, Espeon, Sylveon. You three are my favorite now. No, get out of here, Vaporeon. But even after that long and dangerous grind, I still wasn't done with the dex. I not only had to contact my friend to do the trait evolutions, which I did wrong, and then had to contact another friend to trade me his Pokemon so they'd evolve in my game, but I also had to hunt down Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. But before I could even battle these 3 legendary titans, I had to take on 3 anomalous alpha Pokemon that appeared in Wild Zones 3, 5, and 9. And only after beating those 3 anomalous Pokemon would Xerneas show up. Then Yveltal just kind of flew in and was like, hey man, I'm gonna rest here on this dome. So I caught him. But Zygarde wanted blood. This man went from his dog form to his 50% complete form to his complete form just to try and fight me before he finally decided, you know what, yeah, let's go hang out. And after catching all of them, I realized I still had to evolve Pokemon with items and go to the Pokemon laboratory to revive 3 extinct Pokemon, Aerodactyl, Tyrant, and Amora. And after evolving Tyrant and Amora, as well as some other Pokemon with item evolutions, I was finally done with a major part of Mabel's research, but not entirely. You see, during my entire playthrough, I was not only grinding Mega Shards, but I was also going to the stone store and buying as many Mega Stones as I could. You see, because another one of Mabel's hardest researches is to get 50 Mega Stones. And you may not know this, but Mega Stones are expensive. So not only am I trading all of my Mega Shards for Mega Stones at Quasico Inc., but I'm also spending almost 500,000 Pokédollars just to get stones for Pokemon I wasn't even using yet. And all of that money has to come from somewhere. 3 birds, one stone. I'm doing a bit. It's not working. So it was back to the ZA Royale. I was battling trainers left and right, and that's when I started thinking to myself, there's gotta be a better way to do this. I was averaging about 20 to 30 different battles per night, but that still wasn't enough to satiate the amount that I would need in total. So I looked into some different Pokemon that might make the battling easier, and that's where I saw a lot of people telling me Dragonite with extreme speed and adamant nature would absolutely obliterate the ZA Royale. So I decided to take some time and invest some of the Pokédollars I made into an Alpha Dragonite that I had caught from Area 20. And after getting this Alpha Dragonite, I was averaging about 50 to 70 battles a night, which brought the overall number of battles I completed per night up, and the amount of money I made from those battles up as well. And with the money I collected, I was reinvesting it into the stone market. By the time I was done, I was the wealthiest gem owner in this side of Lumio City. And even after all of those battles, I really only had 500 total battles done. I have to get 1,000, but I'm sure if I really focus on that, I can get it done in like a day. I've been battling so much. I need a break. I gotta do something else. After going from about 500 to 750 battles, I thought it was a good idea to take a break and jump into catching different types of Pokemon. So I went into each of the wild zones, found a Pokemon of a specific type, and caught about 8 or 9 of the same Pokemon over and over again. Until eventually, there was no other options. I had to grind out the last 250 battles with nothing but me, my Alpha Dragonite, and sheer, unbridled willpower. This is it. The moment that this entire challenge led up to. 250 more battles, and then the shiny charm would be mine. I sat down, gritted my teeth, cracked my knuckles, and began battling. I had about 5 more nights of battling, with each night taking about 30 minutes to complete. If my math was correct, 2.5 hours of consistent battling would get me the shiny charm. And that was the longest 2.5 hours of my life. I was hitting everybody. Fairy trainers, steel trainers, that guy who looks at you funny when you throw out your Pokemon and then attacks you anyway. But after the long haul, after the long grind, it finally happened. I had collected the shiny charm, which means now I have to make shiny content.